What's up? So, just going to look for some bets for today. Obviously, huge game, Lakers Warriors. So, hopefully, we're able to find some plays, find some value. Maybe there's some profitable promos out there. So, that's basically what we're going to be doing. So, let me go ahead, let me share my screen, and we can kind of just go ahead, dive into it. So, long story short, we're just going to look for some value in the market. And, you know, I'll try to find bets for various games on various platforms, but I say this in a lot of other videos. In these videos, I'm just showing you what I'm putting my own money on. So I'm currently not in a state with regulated sports betting. So I don't have Caesars, I don't have DraftKings, I don't have FanDuel, but you can see the top bet is on Caesars. Shane McClanahan, sounds like Monahan, under 17 and a half outs is plus 162 on Caesars. Every other book is pricing this around plus 130. Pretty good value. But again, I don't have access to Caesars. So if you don't use the sports books, that I'm talking about in these videos, I apologize. But we're going to focus on, prize picks, Fliff, and just kind of like try to find some value. I say this all the time. I don't really have a favorite sports book. I kind of just bet where I can find an edge. Right? It's really that simple. Sometimes there's a lot of profitable bets on Parlay Play. Sometimes there's more on DraftKings. Sometimes there's more on FanDuel. But just like as a sports bettor, as a sharp sports bettor, because all these books have different prices, all these books have different odds from one another, you really don't know which book is going to screw up offer value on a given day. But anyways, let's enable my location. So let's jump into Parlay Play and let's just start looking for picks. So long story short, what's really interesting about this new type of, sports gambling platform, which is Parlay Play, such as Parlay Play, is these books, just like Parlay Play, they don't vary your payout based on you selecting over or under. So I'm not sure. It better verify my location. But what I mean by that is we can go ahead and we can create a little slip here. So let me move that over. So this is the first pick we're going to go with on Parlay Play. And it's pretty simple. Like, I don't bet with my gut. It doesn't work. I worked in trading forever. Everyone thinks they can beat the market with their gut. And it's the same thing in sports betting as in the financial world. Good luck with that, right? The way you win is you follow the data. And what's so crazy about sports betting is all these books, are slightly different. They all price lines independently. So you can see this play on JP Sears. It's not on Prize Picks, right? If you only use Prize Picks, you're missing out on a profitable bet. Prize Picks doesn't have this line available. So if we go to Sears, you're going to see they don't even have him available. They just have him combined with Nestor Cortez. But long story short, let's go ahead. Let's start putting a slip together on Parlay Play, right? Pretty simple. That's where the value is. So that's what our first bet's going to be on. So I've explained this before in other videos as well, but different times of day may have different bets. Lines are always moving. You can track line movements, do all sorts of cool stuff like this, but you really never know which book is going to be slipping up. So if there's value on Parlay Play, that's what we're going to be starting with. So we'll kind of get into how Parlay Play works, but first let's just kind of put a little slip together. Don't want to talk too much and miss out on any good bets. So this is the second pick we're going with. So when you're using the positive EV tool, pretty simple. You just want to, take these bets in bold and in green. So on a sports book like Fliff, so unfortunately Fliff doesn't have a web app. It's only available on your phone. So I'll have to bet whatever on my phone if I want to place a bet. But when you're betting on a traditional sports book, like let's say FanDuel, all you do is you just hit this bet, right? It's pretty simple. But on these platforms like Parlay Play, like on Parlay Play, you're going to notice if I remove Barrett, like it says you need at least two different players from two different teams. So on a platform, this technically isn't even a sports book. It's a fantasy website, right? So on these platforms, you have to include more than one pick, but we'll kind of get into that in a sec. So RJ Barrett under, okay, cool. And then we can just kind of keep scrolling and looking for value on Parlay Play. Maybe there's some, maybe there's not. I mean, we're getting pretty low. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of other plays. We have Randall under 23.5 points, but this is something you need to consider, right? Is we don't really want to include Randall's under and RJ Barrett's under for PRAs. They're on the same team, right? So somebody's got to score for the Knicks. So you don't really want to take unders for two players on the same team. in general, just kind of like on these fixed payout platforms, you don't want to do that. But anyways, let me just refresh. What we can do is we can just move our max odds down to minus 114 and try to find some value on Parlay Play. So this is a new fantasy platform as well, Hot Streak. We did a video on it. It looks like they just moved the line. So again, you got to be quick to get the good bets down. So you're going to see they move from minus 105 to minus 137 for Bam under 8.5 rebounds, minus 105 to minus 137. Some of the best betting opportunities, they're going to go quickly. But I haven't been able to figure out how to deposit money in it, which is a little annoying. So I'm not going to have any bets on it. But it's another platform that's available in California. It's available in a bunch of locations. So Schroeder under 9.5 points. That will be my third pick. So pretty simple. I mean, there's nothing super complicated, super glamorous about sports betting. This is another platform. I can't figure out how to deposit money. They actually have the exact same payout as Prize Picks for their 5-pick entries. So it's literally this platform ripped Prize Picks. It's basically a duplicate of Prize Picks, but I can't figure out how to get money in. But there's, a lot of profitable bets on this platform. And what you're going to notice is this play, right? This is why I always say you want to have as many sportsbook accounts as possible. Is like this play, it's only on Parlay, or it's only on Jock Market, right? This play isn't available on Parlay Play. It's not available on, Prize Picks. So you got to get a Jock Market account. If more sports books means more profitable betting opportunities. It's really that simple. So I'm going to try to figure out how to sign up for it pretty soon. But this play seems pretty good as well. So I may bet some of these on my phone just because Fliff doesn't have a web app. And again, kind of similar to why you want multiple sportsbook accounts. Another just sports betting tip in general, as I pull up this bet, and hopefully you guys are tailing it. So this will be the first bet that I lock in for today. It looks like Fliff already has MLB lines for tomorrow, but is also you want to place as many bets as possible in a given day, assuming your bets have an edge. So it's a pretty simple, not simple concept, but where do I find player hits allowed? So under 5.5 I'm going to hit it for $250. You'll see it on my Pickett profile. So Pickett is just a verified bet tracker. I'm not saying the N-word. What? So Pickett is a verified bet tracker. So you can follow all my plays there, and it's kind of, and also if I don't answer your question, I'll kind of be in and out, placing bets, trying to answer questions. What's up? But feel free to email me any questions anytime as well. I'm happy to answer. Yeah, this is my problem with Hot Streak, but regardless, whatever. So you'll be able to see any bets I lock in on my Pickett profile for Fliff. So I just locked this in. But the reason, you want to place a lot of bets as a sports bettor is it's all contingent on you having an edge, right? So if you have an edge, if you have an advantage, more bets is actually better. And the reason for that is it's kind of like if a coin, let's say there's a coin, it's 55% to show up on heads. If you just flip it once, if you just flip that coin once a day, it's still 45% to show up on tails, right? It could show up on tails, even though heads is the more likely outcome. So when you're positive EV betting, right? When you're sports betting in general, when you're finding plays, you want to have as many bets as possible, assuming you have an edge, because all that means is it's kind of like if you flip a coin once versus a million times. If you flip a coin that's 55% to show up on heads, you flip that coin a million times, it's literally guaranteed, like 99.99999% chance to show up on heads more frequently. But if you just flip it once, it's 55% to show up on heads. So the whole concept is, long story short, when you have an edge, you reduce variance by placing a lot of bets, right? Like some bets are going to win, some bets are going to lose, but because all of your plays have an edge, all of your plays are profitable, you'll make money long term. And it's not like, as a sharp bettor, you're not like specifically zoning in on one bet. You'll notice winning streaks, losing streaks on a bunch of these platforms. But if you have an edge, some days I may lose on Underdog Fantasy. You'll see that on my Pickett profile. Some days I'll lose a bit. Some days I'll run hot. Some weeks I'll run hot on Prize Picks. I'll run cold on Underdog Fantasy. But everything balances out, right? If you have an edge, you make money long term. It's pretty simple. So one of the things is like, it's not about like, I feel as if, let me find this little PowerPoint I'm looking for, but it's not about with Parlay Play adjusting their payouts. They adjusted their payouts. I got to take a look at this. I'll discuss that in a sec. I didn't realize Parlay Play adjusted their payouts. I'm going to be very annoyed if they adjusted their payouts for 6-pick entries, but we'll take a look here in a second. But like, long story short, it's like, some weeks I win on FanDuel, some weeks I lose on FanDuel. Some weeks I'm not in a state that has FanDuel available, so I have less bets on FanDuel. But, in 2023, I'm up 10K-ish on FanDuel, which is about a tenth of my profit on the year, because about, a tenth of the profitable bets that I place are on FanDuel. So more sports books. Sometimes you're going to have losing streaks on a sports book. It's not that the sports book is cursed. It's just, again, it's like flipping a coin. As a positive EV bettor, you're essentially flipping coins that are weighted in your favor. Your bet has an edge, but there's no locks in sports betting. It's not a play that's guaranteed to win. It's just a play with an edge. It's like flipping a coin that's weighted in your favor. Sometimes, more often than not, it's going to fall in your favor. So more days than not, as a positive EV bettor, you're going to make money. You're still going to have losing days, right? But anyways, so wow. So this play on Schroeder, did they just move? Is starting to look incredible. I mean, sportsbooks are ripping his line lower. So you can pull up a little odds graph. They've moved from minus 131 on his under to minus 174. So obviously, I don't know if there's lineup changes. Maybe there's sharp action coming in, right? Maybe the coach said something about Schroeder's not going to get a lot of minutes. Like, lines can move for any reason. The market's constantly moving. So let's try to get a play in, and let me shut up for a second. So we have 3 picks. So we need 3 more on Parlay Play. So what I can do is just kind of go ahead and open this up. You could also take Schroeder PRAs, but it looks like this play, the player points, has a slightly higher profit margin. So we'd rather go with that. And then I want Pietrangelo over 2, and we'll kind of discuss everything here in a second. I'm just trying to move quick to get this bet in. Kevin Love under 10 points plus assists. Sure. Any of these plays in green are good, and we can talk about that kind of in a second. But so Kevin Love under 10.5, and you can see they moved down to 10. So I got to refresh this. Hopefully the play on Schroeder is still available. It is. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then we can just kind of look, and I'll explain these round numbers and stuff like that in a sec. Oh, we want Kevin Love under 10. But regardless, let's just take a look very briefly. Did they move? So we have RJ Barrett, points plus rebounds plus assists. Schroeder again, Curry over 35.5 points plus rebounds. So this will be my 4th pick. And hopefully we can move quick. Again, we saw it earlier. Sometimes the best betting opportunities, they just don't last that long. So you got to move quick. So we currently have 3 plays. It's recommending McDavid over 4, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I already took a play on this game. This play, Alex Pietrangelo, and we'll discuss everything here in a second because I know there were some changes to this betting tool, which we'll talk about. But first, I just want to get my play together. So again, I don't want to take these 2 players over in the same slip, because if McDavid goes off and he has 10 shots on goal, the Oilers probably will have the puck more. So that will make this guy, Alex Pietrangelo, less likely to go over 2 shots on goal, right? So there's some negative correlation. But what we can do is we can just kind of refresh this and we can see if we can find some plays. But I wanted to, before taking any of the, whatever. So 1, 2, 3. We could take Julius Randle. So we're currently at 4. And then what we can end up taking is Draymond over 7 assists. Take a look here. So sure, why not? Let's take Draymond over 7 assists. We have Curry over points plus rebound. So we want Draymond over assists. That I kind of like. That's positive correlation. So that's 6 picks. So then we'll go and we want this guy's under following the data, Schroeder's under. So under, we want under for Barrett. We want under for Schroeder. So we're starting out with 3 unders. We'll discuss everything here in a second. We wanted his over, Curry's over, I believe. Curry's over for points plus rebounds. Okay. And then we also wanted Draymond's over. So 3 overs, 3 unders. And we'll kind of discuss this in a sec. And it's not necessarily, this isn't necessarily like the final version of the changes to the fantasy screen, but regardless, let's just lock it in. So, okay, I locked this in for $60. We'll kind of discuss each pick in a second and go through everything. So 6 picks if you want to tail. So Sears under 4.5 Ks, Barrett under 27.5 PRAs, Schroeder under 9.5 points, Pietrangelo over 2 shots on goal, Curry over 35.5 points plus rebounds, Draymond over 7 assists, right? So now we can kind of like explain how this platform works, how this tool works, how Draymond over 7 is calculated and stuff like that. So what you're going to notice on this Parlay Play platform, and this is also how Prize Picks works. So I believe, well, actually now I have to take a look at, so it looks like they do have the same payout still for these 6 pick entries. So what you're going to notice, and this is another benefit to having Parlay Play as opposed to, just Prize Picks, is you're going to notice for these 6 pick entries, right? The way both platforms work is they're fixed payout platforms. So what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if you take this guy's over, you take his under, doesn't matter. Your payout doesn't change, right? That's why these companies are technically fantasy sites. They're not like a sports book, right? There's no odds on these platforms. These are fixed payout platforms. Any 6 pick entry you create on Parlay Play, you get this payout. So on Prize Picks, you get a slightly lower payout, right? So Prize Picks, if you go 5 for 6, you get a 2x payout. On Parlay Play, it's 2.5x. If you go 6 for 6, you get 25x on both platforms. But you're going to see, compared to Prize Picks, Parlay Play actually has slightly better payouts for these 5 and 4, picks correctly if you go 5 or 4. And that really matters, right? A lot of people will be like, oh, who cares? Like, if you're trying to make money sports betting, like, these are big, impactful differences. You'd rather place your bets on Parlay Play as opposed to Prize Picks because there's better payouts, right? You make more money. And that's what matters long-term, right? Getting an edge. So because this platform has slightly better payouts, it's easier to find an edge. It's easier to find profitable bets. They offer higher payouts. But long story short, the way this platform works, and I know I've explained it in other videos, but this is for the newer sports bettors because there's a lot of them. Most people are newer sports bettors. But the way this platform works, right? Like I always say this, a lot of people, including myself, I mean, the first bet I placed on Prize Picks, I don't really understand what I was doing. But what you have to do is you have to kind of like take their payouts and figure out how they're trying to beat you. And the way all these fixed payout platforms like Prize Picks work, so just like Parlay Play, is they assume, right, if you have no advantage, right, you're only going to be able to get your over-unders correctly 50% of the time, right? Lewis Robert, he's always going over or under 1.5 total bases. He's always going over or under, right? So if you have no advantage, you're only going to be able to get these correctly 50% of the time. But if you take Parlay Play's payouts, and I've written some articles about this, whatever, but if you take Parlay Play's payouts and you back out what percentage of your picks do you have to win to be profitable, you're going to notice you have to get your over-unders, just like this play, Robert, over-under 1.5 bases. You have to get this correctly 53.2279% of the time to be profitable. So how Parlay Play makes money, right, is they know most people don't have an advantage. And if you don't have an advantage, you're only going to be able to get these over-unders correctly 50% of the time. So you're going to lose money, right? A lot of money, negative 26% ROI. That's their business model. So what you need to do is you need to find player props that are winning, over whatever amount it was, 53.227, what is it? 53.22% of the time. So what OddsJam does, and it's pretty simple, is you just look at, the data points in the market. You look at sports books. So you're going to see Schroeder, his under on all the sports books that have his line at 9.5. His under is priced at like, minus 150. The under is the favorite outcome. Just like if you look at FanDuel, if we look at, let's say, the NHL, whatever, the Edmonton Oilers are the favored team. They're above 50% to win, according to the betting market, right? The Oilers are bigger favorites than the Devils. So the market is telling you, hey, the Oilers are the biggest favorite today, right? The Maple Leafs are still favored to win the game, so they're a bit over 50%, but they're only small favorites, minus 122. Here, the Oilers are pretty big favorites. They're almost minus 200. And what you have to remember is like, minus 200 means a 2-to-1 betting favorite. So if the Oilers were minus 200, 2/3 to win, right? Minus 200 means a 2-to-1 betting favorite, 2/3 to win. So here, it's not like Schroeder's under is minus 200, but this is a play where the under is pretty heavily favored. So it's winning over 53.22% of the time, right? So that's what you're looking for on parlay play and on prize picks, right? Most of these plays aren't profitable, right? Most bets aren't profitable, but you're going to see, parlay play and every other sports book has tens of thousands of lines. So you can see parlay play here, so many different random things you can bet on. You can bet on any of this stuff. So you're looking for like needles in a haystack. That's essentially what a profitable bet is, right? For the sports books you use, you're looking for those few rare betting opportunities where they're screwing up big enough. And on parlay play, where you can find picks winning over 53.22% of the time. And sometimes the value's in the MLB. Sometimes there's more value in the NHL. It really depends on the day, right? Like I didn't wake up today wanting to bet on Dennis Schroeder. The market is just telling me his under's heavily favored. Every data point is telling me the under's heavily favored. And again, like if you think you're smarter than the sports books and you take his over, I mean, you're getting such bad, like it doesn't even matter. Even if you think Schroeder's going over, the general concept is even if you want to take his over, let's just say that, you should be betting it on Caesars, right? You always have to get the best price. And that's called line shopping in sports betting, but it's a pretty simple concept, which is just like, if you're getting ripped off, if you're placing bets at minus 105, when there's another book in your location offering plus 126, you're getting ripped off. You won't make money sports betting. It's like being an investor or a day trader or whatever who's constantly ripped off. You don't stand a chance at making money if you're just always getting ripped off, right? So the whole point of Odds Jam is like take your emotions, gut out of it. I mean, literally the reason Prize Picks is in business is most people bet with their gut and are clueless and can't get an advantage. And on Prize Picks, you have to win a higher percentage. We said earlier, Prize Picks, they have slightly lower payouts than this parlay play platform. So on Prize Picks, for a 6 flex, you actually have to win 54.21% of your player props to be profitable. On parlay play, it's only 53.22%. So long story short, like it's really hard. I mean, like I don't think people understand, like you can't just win your player props 55% of the time without data. No one's gut is that smart that you can outsmart the market and win 55% of your picks with no data. It's just not possible. I mean, but anyways, so that's basically what we went with. And then the fantasy optimizer. So we're probably going to add a toggle button for this, but you're going to see as an example, this Alex Pietrangelo. I hope I pronounced that right. If not, sorry. But you're going to see sportsbooks have his line at 2.5. Parlay plays at 2. But sportsbooks have the under, it looks like, favored. They're giving you plus money on the over, so the under's favored. So essentially, like, if you think about it, so what we can do is we can go to the NBA, just as a example. So if we go to the NBA, if we go to the Heat game, right, you're going to notice, like, sportsbooks, they don't have round numbers, right? Like if we look at BAM assists, there's no BAM over 3.0 assists, but you're going to see on parlay play on these fantasy websites like Prize Picks, you see round numbers, right? 6.0. So essentially what 6.0 means is you're pushing if he has exactly 6 strikeouts. So you're like tying if he has exactly 6 strikeouts. So what you can do is, let's go to the MLB actually first. So MLB, who did we want to look at? Tanner Bibby in the Guardians game. So if we go to the Guardians game, looks like that's the next game. And then you go to player strikeouts, right? What you're going to notice is Tanner Bibby's line, right, is so what you want to do is 6+ strikeouts is the same as over 5.5 strikeouts, right? So we're trying to get a sense of what should the 6.0 line, like what should the odds be at? So what you can do is you can pull this up and let me just, whatever, we'll go into a new sheet here. But what we can do is just be like, okay, his over 5.5 strikeouts, right? So you have to remember 6+ is different than 6.0. So 6+ strikeouts, you're going to see it's the same odds as over 5.5, right? Over 5.5 is the same as 6+. What that means is 6+ means if he has 6 or more, right? So same as over 5.5. If this guy has 6 or more strikeouts, over 5.5 cashes, same exact bet as 6+. So what you're going to notice is like, okay, his over 5.5 strikeouts. Where do I want to go? Where was that spreadsheet? So his over 5.5 strikeouts is minus 120. His over 6.5 strikeouts, let's go back here, is plus 180, right? So that's an 100-cent jump, right? The odds change for one strikeout. This is over 6.5, right? 7+ over 6.5, whatever. So let's just move that closer. This is plus 180, right? So long story short, the midpoint, so it's over 6.0. If FanDuel offered round numbers, the midpoint would be 6.0, right? So the only difference between over 5.5 and over 6.5 strikeouts is obviously if he has exactly 6 strikeouts, right? So if Tanner Bibby has exactly 6 strikeouts, this bet will win over 5.5. The over 6.5 will lose. So essentially a push, right? This is just a push. If he has exactly 6 strikeouts, you'll get a refund, right? Your parlay will go from a 5-pick parlay to a 4-pick parlay if you include this in a 4-pick parlay. If he has exactly 6 strikeouts, if you take the over, the under, you're going to push. Your 5-pick parlay becomes a 4-pick parlay. So what you can do is you can use these alternate lines to essentially just like back out. Okay, we see that FanDuel has his over 5.5 Ks at minus 120. His over 6.5 is plus 180. So the midpoint, right? The midpoint would be over 6.0. So long story short, the midpoint would be plus 130, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But essentially like what the fantasy screen is doing is it right? It's looking at 1.5 versus 2.5 on sportsbook odds. And then the midpoint would be the odds for 2.0. So here, there's enough value, right? Even though sportsbooks have his under 2.5 shots on goal as the favorite outcome, you're looking at what would the odds be for his over 1.5 versus over 2.5. What's the midpoint? Because that tells me what the over 2.0 should be priced at. And that's exactly what OddsJam is doing. So long story short, when you're using this fantasy screen, and I know it's a new feature, so there may be some kinks, whatever, but I'm sure it'll get worked out, is it's just using these alternate odds, right, to kind of like back out what should 6.0 strikeouts be given we know we're over 5.5 and over 6.5 strikeouts is priced. So hopefully that's helpful. What's up? Super draft to the fantasy screen. Yeah, I'll look into super draft, but that's basically all it's doing, right? Is on sports books, you don't get round numbers, but you just have to remember it's just the midpoint, right? Like the over 5.5 and over 6.5, you take the midpoint of the odds, that's over 6.0. So that's all the fantasy optimizer is kind of doing. But anyways, let's go back to the positive EV tool. We'll hit the refresh button. You can see this play on Schroeder still available. This play on Zach Gallen, I bet this on Fliff, still available. Again, this is a platform I can't figure out how to get money in, Hot Streak, but it looks like they still have a play available. So here you can see that Tanner Bibby play. So that actually looks like a great bet on parlay play. Cease over 5.5 strikeouts, right? And kind of the point is, like obviously people know, like when you're an investor, you're looking for value in the market. You're looking for an edge. You're looking for investments that you think are too cheap and have value. It's the same thing in sports betting, right? Everyone wants to win their bets. So you're looking for bets with an edge, with value that have a positive ROI, however you want to think about it. But what makes sports betting so accessible, is that all these books set lines independently. So you have dozens of data points telling you where a line should be set, That's essentially what it means when sportsbooks set lines independently, right? So essentially, the way you can kind of think about it is, what is yacked? So anyways, let's just go ahead. Let's share my screen. 3-man without insurance or 5-man with insurance. Yeah, or you can play 4 picks. 4 picks with insurance on underdog is minus 122. But like what's crazy about sports betting is like if you go to Coinbase or Binance or any of these platforms, you can buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin. This is the price you're going to see. Roughly 27,355, right? There may be differences, right? Due to like fees or whatever, but this is the price, right? What's crazy about sports betting is this is the exact same bet. If Dylan Cease has 6 or more strikeouts, the over is going to cash. It's really that simple, right? There's none more to it. But all these books have different prices. So essentially, as a positive EV better, it's like having a bunch of different, it's like if your friend was like, hey, Bitcoin, I'll let you buy my Bitcoin for $25,000. You'd be like, that's a no-brainer because it's trading in the market at 27.4K. It's the same thing in positive EV betting, right? When every sports book is telling you a line should be priced around minus 170, that's the average odds on Cease over 5.5 strikeouts, and you're getting it at minus 135, right? You found a bet that outweighs the VIG. You're getting so much value, the play's profitable. Bet online has this at minus 182, right? So I'll go ahead. I'm going to lock this bet in. Again, you'll see all these plays on Flip on my Pickett profile where you can follow all my bets. It's just a bet tracker I use. Kind of cool company. They just do bet tracking. So Dylan Cease, they just do bet tracking. But what I can do is I'll go ahead and I'll lock this in. And it's really that simple. And then again, as a sharp bettor, we really want to have as many bets as we can place on a daily basis because you're reducing variance. Not every day is going to be a winner. Not every week, not even necessarily every month is going to be a winner, depending on how many bets you're going to place. But like, it's all about long-term profit, right? Losing streaks, winning streaks, whatever. You can follow literally all of my bets on my Pickett profile. For most sports books, Parlay Play has not been added to Pickett yet, but essentially Pickett is just a platform that it's a verified bet tracker. They read in all your bets from Prize Picks and they track your profit and loss by sportsbook. So you connect your FanDuel account and they tell you your profit and loss on FanDuel, your ROI. You can do a bunch of different analytics. They grade your bets as wins or losses, stuff like that. So it's, like whether I'm not even recommending the OddsJam bet tracker. I recommend Pickett. I like the OddsJam bet tracker. It's great. It actually recently added, but what I'm saying is like, it's good to have a verified bet tracker that works with a bunch of different sports books because then you can track your profit and loss. There's so many sports bettors who, if you ask, what was your profit sports betting over the last year, people don't even know, right? And if you don't know if you're making money or losing money, then like you're probably losing money. You're probably the fish, right? That's what sports books want you to do. They don't want you to track your profit and loss. What you're going to notice as well is just like the sports books won't tell you. Most of them, they don't tell you your profit and loss. So this says my amount won on Prize Picks. I guess it's my 1-year anniversary about using Prize Picks. So you're going to see here, all it tells me is the total amount I won. It doesn't tell you your profit and loss, right? Sports books don't want to tell you your profit and loss because 99% of their customers are going to be down money. So getting a bet tracker, and again, OddsJam has a bet tracker, right? And what you can do is you can actually, if I go here, you can sync your sportsbook accounts. So once this loads, I'll go ahead and I'll show it. But OddsJam kind of works the same way where you can sync your sportsbook accounts and it'll show you your profit and loss by sportsbook, stuff like that. But Pickett just has more sportsbooks available. And also it's a third-party bet tracker. So, it's not like it's an OddsJam one. So I like to use it to kind of track my analytics and show people that it's possible to make money sports betting, right? So positive EV is, a pretty good strategy. Another strategy that I used as a new sports bettor and is pretty valuable is arbitrage betting. So arbitrage betting is basically just so Cut is a new sports book. I haven't looked into it much, but it seems like we kept getting asked to add it to OddsJam, and it seems like a sports book with pretty good odds, right? Pretty low vig, minus 103, minus 103 odds on an over under is pretty crazy, right? That's only a 6-cent spread. You look at Bovada, they have a 35-cent spread. So Cut, new sportsbook account, pretty cool, worth looking into. But long story short, what I'm trying to say is what this is called arbitrage betting. So arbitrage betting, you need multiple sports books. Like you want to have as many sports books as possible to be an arbitrage bettor. But essentially, it's just taking advantage of differences in sportsbook odds, right? Sometimes sportsbooks screw up so big. Again, most bets aren't profitable. Like you're going to see there's literally all these lines you can bet on Prize Picks, thousands of lines that you can bet on. Most plays aren't profitable, right? Most plays, because the sportsbook has an inherent advantage due to the VIG, like most spots, they're not screwing up. So what you're going to see is like, out of all the lines on Prize Picks, OddsJam's recommending some bets, but it's not like there's a million bets out there, right? But long story short, back to arbitrage betting, is sometimes sports books, they screw up, so big, or their models get out of sync with each other. All these books want to be unique. They all want to set lines independently. So sometimes these books get so out of sync with each other that, as you can see right here, you can bet the Dodgers at plus 109 on Bookmaker, and you can bet the Brewers at plus 106 on Cut, right? So you can get plus money on both teams, and it should be clear that's a little weird, right? You're not supposed to get plus money on both teams, right? Usually there's a favored team and there's an underdog. But you can see here, if you look at two different sports books, right? If you look at Bookmaker and Cut, you're like, Bookmaker has the Dodgers as underdogs. Cut has the Brewers as underdogs and the Dodgers as favorites. So what people will do is, just as an example, is what we can do is we can just open up this. So underdog fantasy, you want to place 3 pick entries, and we'll get to underdog here in a second. But just as an example of arbitrage betting, so hopefully this is helpful. Again, I included my email in the description on YouTube, stuff like that. So if you want to reach out with questions, whatever, always here, I'll answer you. But the Dodgers are plus 109 on Bookmaker, and the Brewers are plus 106 on Cut. So these opportunities are very, not rare, but you need to have a bunch of sportsbook accounts, right? Arbitrage betting is taking advantage of inefficiencies in the market by betting on 2 sportsbooks to make a risk-free profit. So as an example, and Cut has plus 106 for the Brewers. So Brewers are plus 106 on Cut. So imagine you had both sports books and you bet $100 on both teams, right? So you put $100 on the Dodgers on Bookmaker, right? So Bookmaker, and you put 100 on the Brewers plus 106 on Cut. So there's 2 options, right? Baseball, like you can't have both teams win. One team's going to win, one team's going to lose. So if the Brewers win, and then if the Dodgers win, right? So you put $100 on Bookmaker on the Dodgers plus 109. So if the Dodgers win, what we can do is we can do Bookmaker profit, Cut profit, and then net profit. So, and again, I don't know if this line already moved. This is just kind of to illustrate the example, because arbitrage betting is how I made my first 40 grand sports betting, because it was risk-free money. It's literally risk-free money. So let's say you got this down, you have both sports books, you placed $100 on both teams. So if the Dodgers win, you're betting $100 at plus 109 odds. So your profit on Bookmaker is going to be $109. If the Brewers win, you're going to be down $100 on Bookmaker. You bet $100 on the Dodgers at plus 109 on Bookmaker. So if the Brewers win, you're down 100 on Bookmaker. So on Cut, it's the opposite. You're down 100. If the Dodgers win, you're up 106. This is 106 if the Brewers win. So your net profit in both scenarios is positive, right? That's arbitrage betting. And, there's like a full video about it here. You can just kind of like pull it up. We've done a lot of content kind of explaining it. It's a difficult strategy sometimes, but what you have to remember is like the returns in sports betting are pretty crazy. Everyone has different bankrolls, but when I started out sports betting with a smaller bankroll, is like I literally viewed arbitrage betting as like getting free like it's like you just paid for your dinner. Like if you put, let's say, $150 on the Dodgers, what this calculator does, this little calculator thing, is it tells you how much to bet on each side to guarantee to hold your risk-free profit constant. So what I mean by that is, like, if we go back to this underdog spreadsheet, you're going to see if the Dodgers win, we're up 9. If the Brewers win, we're up 6 in net profit. So what the arbitrage calculator tells you is assuming, you want your risk-free profit to be, the same regardless of who wins, you're going to make 1132. So all you do is you say, okay, I have $150 on cut, and this will tell you how much to bet on bookmaker to make a risk-free profit. In this case, it would be 1115. And literally, when I was fresh out of school, put money into all these sports books, that's dinner. That's Chipotle. That's a Chipotle burrito. That's got a little boy like me fed for a day. So long story short is just like, it's a way to, grow your bankroll with risk-free returns. And really what's, amazing about sports betting in general, here's an incredible play. I'm going to lock this in for sure, is what you have to remember about sports betting is your returns are daily, right? Like if you can get a 2% ROI on all your bets, just 2%, there's 30 days in a month. We're betting on games that are today, right? This game is about to start in, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So in sports betting, if you can get an advantage, you're typically, the compounding is pretty crazy. So what I mean by that is like 2% a day. If you can earn a 2% ROI on your bets, there will be some ups and downs. I mean, there will be variance. There won't be if you're arbitrage betting. Arbitrage betting is just risk-free profit. But anyways, I'm going to lock in this under 7 on Fliff. Never know where the value is going to be. So, there will be ups and downs. But if you can earn a 2% ROI on your bets after a month, that's 60%, right? So you're able to grow, your bankroll really quickly as a bettor if you can get an edge, right? This doesn't even relate to OddsJam. This is just saying if you can get an edge, 2% a day, 60% over the course of a month, 30 days in a month. So this play, pretty crazy value. You can pull up the line movement charts, whatever you want. But long story short, it's just like, okay, we're getting this at plus 200 on Fliff. This is arbitrage. You can see the plus number is greater than the minus number. So this is actually arbitrage once again. So if you go back to the arbitrage tool, arbitrage just means when you can bet on equal and opposite outcomes. So in this case, Kyle Gibson walks. Sometimes these bets are in the most random markets. So Kyle Gibson walks, right? His over is minus 127 on Caesars. It's plus 120 on Bovada. The under is minus 115 on Caesars, minus 160 on Bovada. Those are massive differences, right? Like when we talk about line shopping in sports betting, it's not minus 101 versus minus 102. It should be pretty intuitive, pretty clear that minus 127 versus plus 120. Like if you're placing this bet on the over on Caesars, you don't stand a chance at being a profitable sports bettor. You're literally placing a bet at minus 127. You're betting 127 to win back 100. When if you bet 127 on Bovada, you're betting like 127 to win 150 in profit. Literally 50% better payout, right? So it's really important, long story short. But anyways, so when arbitrage exists, there has to be a profitable bet. That's another thing to mention is like one of these plays, like if profit, like you can literally bet both of these and make a risk-free profit, right? So like one of these plays, either the plus 120 or the minus 115 has to be for the best if there's not a profitable bet, right? And again, I highly, if you like making money or, just like taking some time to watch the tutorial videos is obviously helpful just because, there's pros, there's cons of arbitrage. You got to move quick. You got to be quick, stuff like that. So I try to cover all the pros, cons, things you should know in these strategy videos. So I don't want to dwell on it and turn this into a tutorial on it. So let's get back to hitting bets. So what you're going to notice too is a lot of times, like when sportsbooks, unsurprisingly, when they screw up an under 7, So it's like, what is Fliff doing here? Right? They had their line at plus 160 about, 5 hours ago, which is in line with the rest of the market. Then they just ripped it up to plus 200 20 minutes ago. So it's kind of like, what are they doing? Why did they move lines? Who knows, right? Maybe their model's just out of sync, but they're clearly screwing up, right? We have all these data points saying, yo, this line should be priced around minus 170-ish. We're getting plus 200. So that's a no-brainer. So I locked that in. You'll see it on my Pickett profile. And then I also locked this in, right? So again, people can bet with their gut. They can place 2 bets a day, whatever. I'm just talking about data-driven sports betting because again, like I didn't watch most of the games I bet on FanDuel. I didn't know the names of probably most of the players that I bet on. You can still make money because it's all about the data, right? Like it's all about the data. Everything is priced into the market. I mean, some people will be like, I've watched every Orioles game this season. Cool. It's baked into the market, right? Like everything is baked into the market. LeBron gets injured. Anthony Davis's rebound line will go up. AD's points line will go up, right? But everything gets baked into the market. So knowing that LeBron James got injured, cool. Like everything, all historical data, what happened last game, what the weather is, that's all baked into the market, right? People will be like, oh, it's raining today. Baked into the market, right? All of it's baked into the market. So like it's kind of same with like the price of a stock. People buy a stock, price goes up, whatever. CEO gets convicted of fraud, price goes down, price tanks. US economy doing better, positive reports come out, stock goes up. Like everything's reflected in real-time prices. And that's why following price data is so valuable. Historical data is pretty irrelevant. And the main reason is historical data is baked into the odds. Everything is baked into the odds. If that weren't the case, right? Sharp sports bettors, syndicates, there's literally sports betting hedge funds. There's sports betting syndicates. Syndicates is like a group of bettors who are smart. They have good models, whatever. If things weren't baked into the market, if weather wasn't factored into the odds, everyone would hammer the lines, right? Until it was reflected in the odds. So, it's kind of like sports books. Let's say LeBron gets injured. Obviously, hopefully he doesn't. But if LeBron gets injured, the Lakers will probably be, slight underdogs tonight, maybe around plus 120 they'll move to. I'm not sure. But long story short, everyone knows that. That's public information that would be baked into the odds. So if the Warriors should be favored, every sharp bettor is going to hammer the Warriors until the line moves, right? And that causes line movement. That's the reason that lines move in sports betting. So you can see the Warriors on DraftKings were plus 135 when they first opened odds 2 days ago on May 6th. They were plus 135. Then they came down to plus 125. So what DraftKings is doing is just like a stock goes up due to supply and demand, is they're moving around odds due to bets coming in. If all the action is coming in on the Warriors, if some syndicate or all these sharp bettors start hammering the Warriors because they think the Warriors are more likely to win the game and plus 120 is a profitable bet, DraftKings will move the odds from, plus 120 down to plus 110. If action starts coming in on the Lakers, they'll move the line in the other direction. So that's just how a market works, right? Like everything is reflected ultimately in prices, in price data. Automatically receive new positive VB bets without manually refreshing. So you can see there's some value on Jock Market. Again, not a book that I currently use because I can't get money into it, but I've heard good things about it. So if you're looking for a new platform to sign up for, well, there you got one. We can put in Caesars, PointsBet. I mean, whatever, right? They're profitable bets. You can see best bet on PointsBet is Jokic under 9.5 assists. So this is an early bet for Tuesday, game 5 of now an exciting series that looked like it was going to be a blowout, but hey, Suns. So long story short, this is a profitable bet. It's on PointsBet. I don't have PointsBet available right now, so I'm going to filter it back out. But long story short, there's profitable bets on all these platforms. RJ Barrett under 20.5 points, whatever. So what we can do next is we can go to, sometimes I find some decent value on this sportsbook screen. So if we go to like NBA player points plus assists, sometimes we can find some pretty good value. What's up? Did Underdog change their payouts this morning? Did they? I don't think underdogs switch their payouts. I see the same thing. 3x, 6x, 10x, 20x. I don't think it's ever been different. I think this has always been their payout structure. I could be wrong. And on parlay play, it doesn't seem like they've changed their payout structure either. I'm not sure if someone. Oh. Yep, of course. What do I think of models? I think it's too hard to beat. Sports books. Like you have to remember if you're creating your own model, right? Which says LeBron, like you'll see some people, they'll be like, my model says LeBron scoring 40 points today. It's like, no offense, your model sucks, right? Like, and the reason is, right, is if you assume your like, let's just say, let's go to the sportsbook screen and let's go to player points plus assists. Is like, let's say your model, just as an example, says LeBron. Where's LeBron? LeBron. So let's say your model says LeBron's over under for points plus assists is 40. No offense, the model's horrible, right? Because this is where the market is setting the line, right? And this is the only thing you can bet on. Like the whole point, like what I learned when I was a trader and what is so true is the only opinions you should respect are where people are putting money on, right? People will, these people on ESPN will talk all day long. Handicappers will talk all day long about, oh, the Lakers, Warriors, watching highlights. This team's more likely to win. LeBron's not going to show up. But at the end of the day, this is what people are putting their money on, right? So you can tell me Bitcoin's worthless, but actually it's worth 27.4K because that's the price where supply and demand is equal. So like, it's just respecting the market in a weird way. Because anything that people aren't putting their money on, like your opinion's not valid. So if you say LeBron's line should be at 40, well, if other people agreed with you, if sharp sports bettors, syndicates, everyone, like you're just so far off from the rest of the market. If LeBron's line should be 40.5 points plus assists, and that's what your model says, you're 8 points off from the rest of the market. Every sharp bettor in the world will give you over 40.5 when other books have it at 32.5 or 31.5 or 32. So there's some slight differences in odds. But the thing is like, the whole point is, the market is the consensus. Like, let's say all the sharp bettors, the syndicates are like, no, LeBron's going to play more minutes tonight. They'll start betting his over and the line will move from 32.5 to 33.5, right? The market reflects the opinions of sports bettors, just like the price of a stock. People can say this is useless, this stock's worth nothing, whatever. Like at the end of the day, like it's a market, right? Supply and demand is equal. So like this is the point, roughly, where sports books are balancing bets on LeBron's over and under. His line's at 32.5. If everyone started hammering his over, if all the action's coming in on his over, they'll move the line up to 33.5, right? So I just think it's very hard. I mean, I'm sure there are people who do it, but you also have to remember, like FanDuel, even if you have a great model, it's like FanDuel's $1 billion company. Their models are probably better than yours. So really, truly the easiest, in my opinion, people can have different opinions, but the way to beat books is not modeling how many assists is Dennis Schroeder going to have. It's picking off sports books when they're inefficient, when they're screwing up and offering value. And it's one of those things where like, you'll go on losing streaks, you'll go on winning streaks. I go on winning streaks, I go on losing streaks. But like, when you're just following the data, you're just following the numbers, you're just following the market, you always win long term because the data doesn't lie, right? And creating your own model, it's just, I've never had success with it. I've tried. It's just like these books, they have more resources. They have hundreds of engineers. They have better data sources. They have better everything, right? So it's just very hard to do. The only people you really see do it pretty successfully, it's really smart people, obviously. There's a lot of them, but also it's syndicates who are groups of people with a lot of money, and they've been building out these models for years. It's like, you definitely, like people can definitely do it. Don't mean to discourage anyone who wants to create a model. I just think it's very difficult and it's not something I can do. So, or at least want to do either. So I don't model. So it looks like some new plays are showing up on this positive EV tool. So what we can do is we can try to create another slip. So we can go back to parlay play. But long story short, sometimes you'll see, some discrepancies. Like I like to look when sportsbooks first post odds for discrepancies between like prize picks and underdog. Sometimes there's none. Sometimes there's a lot. Again, it just kind of depends on the day. Like just like an investor may make 3 investments in a week and then none for the rest of the year. I mean, obviously you don't want to place 3 bets a year. More is merrier, but just some days there's more games, there's more value. Like sometimes when I look at OddsJam late at night, there's just not a lot of bets. Sometimes when sportsbooks first post odds for the upcoming day, there's a lot of inefficiencies, which is kind of like, the stock market. Some days it's boring. It's just 0%. Nothing really moves around. Whereas some days it's like, oh, crazy things happen, right? GameStop, whatever, right? So it really just depends on the day how many bets I am placing, right? So what we can do is we have parlay play. Okay, let's just go here and we can reload this. So pretty interesting. So you can let me know too if you have any questions about, the website, whatever. I respond to emails pretty quickly. But feel free to reach out anytime. But anyways, let's hit some bets. So my first play is I'm going to hit, what is this? I don't want that. So what we can do is just go back here to pick them. And then we can get going. Hachimura under 9.5 points. And a lot of people will be like, oh, he's been going off in the playoffs. And again, like, yeah, exactly. He has been. But I'm all about following the data. And if you want to bet with your gut, you can bet with your gut. I think the most flack I got ever for a bet was right here. And it won. The play didn't win, but this bet won. So I'm just going to show it off as an example. Once I can pull it up, once I can find it. Is, nope. Who I want is, I think it was for $400. If I pull it up, here it was. Looney under 14.5 rebounds. Looney was going off, getting 20 boards a game. It's like his line has to be somewhere. His line isn't going to be 19.5 rebounds. That would be the most unrealistic thing in the world. So it's like every star player, you take Curry's under, you take Looney's under for rebounds. It's like people have a heart attack. It's like realistically, Curry's a great player. Nobody's saying he's not. But if his line is 28.5 versus 32.5 versus 34.5, at some point, you got to want to bet the under, right? Like, so just find value in the market. Everything's reflected too. The fact that Looney was going off in the playoffs, he was getting a lot of minutes. He was getting a lot of boards. That's reflected in the odds, right? That's reflected in the market. It's public information. You don't have any advantage by watching sports, right? You simply don't. So what we can do is we can take a look through the market, try to find some value. So we want Rui under 9.5. Tanner, we want Porter over 14.5 points. So what does Underdog have a line for Rui? They have his line at 9.5 as well, so this line's also there. And then what about prize picks? So we can go to prize picks, and we can go to Hachimura. So we can take a look at him, and they don't even have a line for him. So let's refresh this very quickly, though. So parlay play, they only offer max bet sizes of, I think, $60, at least for 6-pick entries. I'm actually not sure. So it's slightly different, it looks like, for these 3-pick entries. But for 6-pick entries, the max bet is $60, at least for me. I don't know, maybe you have a different number. But so I'm not going to be able to, even though this play on RJ Barrett seems pretty good, I'm not going to be able to rebet it. So we can refresh this and take a look at the odds. Right, so again, anything with a round number has that half-point calculation, whatever. Well, what you can do is just try to find some plays. So we already took Schroeder under 9.5. Don't really feel like taking him under 9. But again, because sports books have so much juice, so like you're going to see here, some books have his line at 9.5, but they have the under super heavily favored. FanDuel has his line at 8.5. Pinnacle 9.5, but the under super heavily favored. So OddsJam is just running the half point calculation, which again, like it's not meant to be complicated. It's just like and maybe we'll add a toggle for it if people want to toggle for it. But all it's doing is right the difference between like 3.0, you just take the midpoint, right? Minus 270 to minus 114, roughly an 160-cent jump. So the midpoint, what Lowry's over 3.0 would be roughly set at is minus 190. You just take the midpoint, no different. But basically, what this little half point calculation is doing, nothing complicated. Sports books, they offer lines on 2.5, 3.5, so 3.0, you just take the midpoint. So anyways, pretty interesting. So we can take a look here. Schroeder, we could take him under 13.5 points plus rebounds plus assists if we want to double down on Schroeder's under. And there's no really magic here. I mean, I'm just kind of looking. I mean, I'm kind of interested by these new half point calculations. We may add a toggle for them on and off, depending on if people like them, hate them, whatever. But Tony Gonsolin under 4.5 strikeouts. But just interesting, Sports betting is supposed to be fun, and it's fun to beat the books, follow the market, stuff like that. So we have Rui under. And we need one more play on parlay play. So just kind of going through. So we got this, okay. You can see there's some value on No House Advantage, another platform. There's some plays on Prize Picks popping up. Zach Greinke over 2.5 earned runs. Never know where the value is going to be. Some value on DraftKings, value on a bunch of different sports books. So again, like you may not use these books. There's 194 books on OddsJam. Looks like the top play is on Cut. I think Cut is available everywhere in the US. I'm not sure, but I think it is. Parlay Play available a few places. This I'm pretty sure is a Canadian sports book. Gavin Sheets to get a hit minus 200. Every other book pricing this, an average line of minus 257, minus 200, pretty crazy, right? Like, and again, it's all about, understanding too. I think this calculator, this no vig odds calculator, understanding how sports books set odds, how they try to make money is really important, which is why for parlay play, like I like to explain the math behind it because that's what's important, right? The goal of OddsJam, the goal of, these videos is of course, like hopefully we place some bets. Hopefully they win. Like obviously I'm not out here trying to lose the bets that I gave out so far today, some on Fliff, some on, these different platforms. But the main goal is for these videos to be, educational. Like ideally you understand how these platforms work, how to beat them, the math behind them, stuff like that. Because once you understand concepts like arbitrage betting, like my journey sports betting is I started arbitrage betting. I realized literally these sports books are beatable. Most people think sports betting is like slots. You just can't win. And that is false, right? Like you can win. You could arbitrage bet for the rest of your life and just make risk-free profits due to discrepancies in sportsbook odds, right? That's what arbitrage betting is. It's not like you go to FanDuel and I want to bet on Kyle Lowry and FanDuel says, oh, you owe us $10 for placing your bet. That's not how sportsbooks work. They don't charge fees. They charge the VIG. They charge a spread, which is similar to a car dealer. You go to a car dealer, they'll be like, yo, I'll buy your car for $10,000. And then you look on the market, they got it listed at $12,000 a couple days later. That's because they thought your car was worth more than $10,000. That's why they bought it from you for $10,000. They're selling it for $12K. So they think the fair price of your car is the midpoint between $10K and $12K, probably like $11K. So that's exactly how sportsbooks work too, right? They charge a spread. So you just remove the spread. But I started out arbitrage betting, made risk-free money sports betting, a lot of risk-free money sports betting. Just get home from work, hit arbitrage bets, little side hustle, whatever. You're a Canadian sports bettor. You may have TonyBet and FanDuel. Both of these books are available in Canada. So, you got $350, $100 on FanDuel, $250 on TonyBet. Turn that into $5 in risk-free profit. Put that in the bank account. Go buy a beer, whatever. But long story short, what you learn by arbitrage betting is that, wow, sportsbooks are beatable. And then I started positive EV betting. And what's really cool too is you got to remember all these books offer promos, right? So you can see here, LeBron, obviously a really good promo on Underdog Fantasy. They have LeBron's points line at 0.5, right? So like books, this is a marketing cost for the sports books. They're basically just giving you a free win. Will LeBron score 1 point? It's like, yeah, this is basically a free win. And it's just a promo, right? They're running this to try to incentivize you to sign up and to check Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy doesn't want you placing wagers on Prize Picks, right? They want you betting on Underdog, coming back to Underdog. So this is a marketing cost for them. It's basically a free win. Like obviously LeBron James is going over half of a point, so you want to take his over. So what we can do is we can pull up Underdog Fantasy and just see what picks OddsJam's recommending. DiVincenzo over 5.5 points. Pinnacle has this at minus 143. Okay. LeBron 1+ point. DiVincenzo over 5.5 points. He had a pretty good start to last game. Darnell Nurse over 2 shots on goal. Sportsbooks have his line at 2.5. That's an option. RJ Barrett under 20 points. Steph Curry over 5 threes. Devin Booker under 8 assists. Julius Randle over 9 rebounds. Sportsbooks have his line at 8.5. Sure, but there's so much juice towards the over, around minus 160 odds. So that's the little half point calculation we were talking about. But what I'm going to take is this random hockey play. I'm going to take Nurse over 2. So over. $20. We want to take 3 pick entries on Underdog. And obviously, like you can basically bet whatever you want, right? With LeBron 0.5 points, your entry is probably going to be profitable if you don't want to tail this. But Underdog moves quick after I bet it. So feel free to bet this now if you want to tail on Underdog. LeBron promo bet, DiVincenzo over 5.5 points, Darnell Nurse over 2 shots. That's what I'm locking in. These 3 plays. So locked it in. Profitable promo available on Underdog Fantasy. This promo is not available on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has promos, just not today. So let's refresh this. Randall under 23.5 points. So now we're going to have a 6-pick entry here. So we want Rui's under. So I got to go back to parlay play. Maybe there will be some new picks. So we wanted RJ Barrett. No, we don't have a play on it. So you can see there's a lot of these half point calculations here. Schroeder under 13.5 PRAs. Okay. So we want Schroeder's under. Where's this Tony Gonsolin guy? We want his under. So always try to double check things. I mean, it sounds stupid, but I'm not trying to mess up and just, again, plays in yellow are kind of marginal. So it's not like this plays anything to write home about. It's winning 53.26% of the time. You got to win picks 53.22% of the time to be profitable. But like, you're not going to find 6, probably, you're not going to find 6, bets on Underdog Fantasy that are like 80% to win or on parlay play, right? Some of your picks will be better than others. And that's just how it goes with these fixed payout platforms where you need 6 picks on Underdog. So we're taking Randall's under, okay? Porter's over. Schroeder's under. So under. So we want his under. So lines are moving, right? So Schroeder, we're going to have him under 9.5 points and under 13.5 PRAs. Gonsolin under 4.5 strikeouts. Okay. Rui under. So this I don't love. I don't want to take Rui in the same slip as Schroeder, right? And that should make sense. They're both players on the Lakers, so you don't want to take both unders. So I'm going to remove that. And this Tanner Bibby guy, I think we wanted is over, I think, unless the line moved. So we can refresh this. Or maybe we do want the play on Rui. So we can go back here. I mean, there's no magic here. Just kind of trying to find 6 picks with an edge. So we currently have, I'm not sure what happened at this Tanner Bibby play, so we'll remove that for now. So I have 3 picks. Porter over, Gonsolin under, Randall under. So then we can refresh this, kind of see what other plays are out there. So RJ Barrett, Kevin Love, Darnell Nurse. Should we take the play on Nurse? Why not? Adding a hockey pick. We had that on Underdog too. So this line's available on both platforms. So now we have 4 picks. We need 2 more. So over, under, over here. Over 2.0. Sportsbooks have his line at 2.5. Okay. But there's only a little bit of juice towards the under. So that seems pretty good. And then a bunch of these half-point calculation ones, which, again, we launched today. We're going to add a toggle button for it. But kind of interesting. Again, just, trying to help show more value when it's available, just kind of using these alternate markets on FanDuel. So what we can do is there's just a lot of plays. RJ Barrett under 24.5 points plus rebounds, but we're already taking Randall's under. So we don't really want to take that, right? Looks like some value on no house advantage. Is there any more? So we got a few plays on no house advantage, and this play is the top profit margin play. This I already bet, right? They allow max bet sizes of $60. So what we can do is head over to no house advantage, and we can see if the line moved. Like, have sportsbooks been moving odds, or did no house advantage just randomly post their odds? So you can see they just posted Jalen Brunson's rebound line. They just released it 1 minute ago. All the books have his under super heavily favored, so I have no idea what they're doing, but I'm going to take it. So, and you got to move quick sometimes to get in on the best betting opportunity. So I want Brunson under 4.5 rebounds. So that's play 1. No house advantage has almost an identical required win rate to parlay play. You got to win 53.22% of your picks to be profitable. So let's open up no house advantage. So Strus under 11.5 points. So we can go here, and we can take Strus under 11.5 points. So, okay. Then we have, what else do we have? We could take Stroman over 4.5 strikeouts. Sportsbooks have his over pretty heavily favored. Mikolas over 5 strikeouts. Kevin Love under 6.5 rebounds. But again, like taking 3 unders in the same game, Strus, Love, Brunson, gonna hold off there. But what we can do is we can take Stroman and Mikolas over 5 strikeouts and then kind of get going. So Stroman, we want over 5. We want Mikolas over 5. And again, use a bet tracker. I use Pickett. But like, you obviously want to know your profit and loss on all these platforms. Over a large sample size. Like, again, you're going to have losing weeks. It's just kind of how it is. As a sports bettor, you're going to have losing weeks. So this is what looks good. Right? A lot of round numbers, which again, I don't love, because if all these plays push, then you're going to have a 2-pick entry. But this play on, Jalen Brunson is just absurdly good, right? The sportsbooks have his under really heavily favored, like minus 150 odds about. That's the average line. So minus 150 means a 1.5 to 1 favorite means 60% to win. That's what minus 150 means. 60% favorite, right? 60-40 plus 150 means a 1 to 1.5 underdog, 1 to 1.5 underdog, however you want to think about it, 40% to win. Minus 200, 2 to 1 favorite, 2/3 to win. So the market is currently pricing Brunson's under around minus 150. So as a 60-ish% favorite, right? So anyways, what we can do is we can lock this in. Kind of, with these half point calculations, we're going to, try to improve them, but we want 5 picks with insurance. So here's what I ended up going with. Again, I don't love all the round numbers, but whatever is what it is. So let's hit the refresh button here. Crazy value on this Brunson play. Now you can double down on Schroeder, right? So we hit Schroeder earlier. Again, I explained it. Lines ripped lower on Schroeder on all the sports books. And someone, Parlay Play, was asleep at the wheel because they were still giving us him at minus 114 is technically what the Parlay Play entry is. So all the books have this under favored on Parlay Play. Only got to win 53.22% of your picks to be profitable. So that play looked good. Now it's gone from Parlay Play. They moved the line, right? That's always like a lot of people are confused when sportsbooks move the line. If you're placing bets and sportsbooks aren't moving the line, you're not a good sports bettor, right? Like sports books, right? You want to beat the closing line. You want to beat the market. So if the sports books never adjust a line in your favor, it's kind of like being an investor who everything you buy, it goes, the price doesn't change. It's like at some point, you want to, like, you should be beating the market. Long story short. So I don't control when these books move lines, but you're going to see Schroeder, his line was 9.5. Earlier, we were able to hit that. Nothing complicated, just finding value. Now it's down to 9. We hit the under 9.5. So obviously got some pretty good value. But anyways, 5 picks right here. And then you'll see it on my picket. I'm going to double down on Schroeder. It's at slightly worse odds. But again, like the value still on Schroeder. Sportsbooks keep moving his under to be a bigger and bigger favorite. So lock that in. And yeah, just kind of, again, I consider it like when I started sports betting, I just considered it, like forming my own, little portfolio of profitable bets. Not every bet's going to win. On FanDuel this year, when I took this photo, in 2023, I've already placed 2,000 bets, 12% ROI, which is running too hot. I mean, you'll see 4% here, losing streak, big winning streak, placing 7,000 bets. Right. And I'm not saying it doesn't require time to make money sports betting. It obviously requires time. This isn't passive income. You got to look for good bets. But I love sports betting more than I love sports, but I do like sports. So, but it's definitely something, if you like it, if you know what you're doing, you can obviously make money doing it. So Schroeder, I'm going to max this and then we'll call it a day. And again, what's crazy about sports betting is, again, it compounds quickly if you can get an edge, right? Like a lot of people are like, wow, you had to place so many bets in 2022, 205K according to Pickett, 4.5% ROI if we just round. So $205,000 at a 4% ROI means I wagered total. My total amount of money I bet in 2022, then you just divide your profit by your ROI, was roughly, so this should be 4.5, was roughly $4.5 million. So I bet roughly 4.5 million, but all that means is that means that doesn't, well, I guess it is right. So $10,000 a day, 12.4K a day I was betting. Right now, I'm actually betting less. But the point is just like, you don't need a lot of money to bet on sports. Like on Parlay Play, they allow maximum bet sizes of $60. On Fliff, they allow maximum bet sizes of $250. The max bet size you're going to get on Fliff for any play you try to bet, $250, right? So like it's really hard, especially when I'm just betting on these fantasy sites. Like it's really, really hard to bet much more than that. I think in 2023, I've been betting a lot less than 2022. My ROI is higher, but just betting less. So 105,000, 12% ROI. So you can kind of back that out. 105,000, 12% ROI. And that means I bet $875,000 total. January, February, March, April. So we're like 120 days into the year, maybe 125. So betting $7,000 a day, that still seems high, but maybe that's right. Kind of is what it is. Seems high though, but maybe that's correct. 125 days into the year. Seems crazy, but guess that's how it is. So underdog fantasy, I bet a lot more initially, but underdog fantasy just haven't been gambling as much. But you're going to see a lot of entries on underdog fantasy. It's a grind, right? Making money sports betting, it's not glamorous, just kind of a grind. So we can refresh. Maybe there's some more profitable plays. Value still here. Like some of these, like when I say lines move quick, I mean, obviously some move quicker than others. I'm trying to remember if I bet on this Dylan Cease over 5.5 strikeouts. I already did. So now it moved down to minus 130, which looks pretty good as well. So bunch of different plays out there. I think I'm pretty hungry. My voice is starting to hurt, so I'm going to go get some food. Probably be back on live later. If these videos are helpful, you can shoot me an email about topics to discuss, stuff like that. New comments. Yeah, I am. When do you not use insurance on your plays? You always want to use insurance for parlay play. 6-pick entries are best. So 6-pick entries with insurance are best. Never said that. Anyways, please stop eating, OMG. Anyways, I'm pretty tired. If these videos are helpful, any concepts to discuss, I'm sure I'll be on live later, but hopefully this video was helpful. Make some money.